how to build a massive investor network and raise millions of dollars in capital without wasting months going to networking events, meetups, and talking to people who will never invest. This is what I'm going to be going over. I'm going to be sharing the 4-step capital raising networking system that we have at Millionaire Network Automation. So if you are a multifamily real estate investor who wants to get a GP position or take down large commercial deals that are 30 units or more, you need to set up a proven and predictable system to raise at least $1 million or more consistently. This is for you. If you're not there yet, if you're playing around with like single family or small multifamily, like 5 units, 10 units, you're not there yet, you're playing at a lower league, then this is not for you, right? We're working specifically with multifamily real estate investors who are working on big commercial deals that are 30 units or more and need to raise more than $1 million consistently with a proven and predictable system, right? So you want to build a brand that has authority, credibility, and you want to position yourself as an expert, this is for you. If on the other hand, right, you're afraid of being the face of the brand, right? So you're afraid of being, creating content, being on camera, speaking on stages, podcast events. This is not for you. Our system will require for you to be out there. It will require for you to be, the face of the brand. We're going to build an expert brand for your increased credibility, authority, and investor exposure. So if you're afraid of these things, this is not for you, right? If you're an operator, underwriter, deal finder, if you're a numbers guy, if you're in the back end, that's what you like. This is not for you. There's nothing wrong with that. But this is for real estate investors who are focused on raising capital. Real estate investors who are focused on being out there, being the face of the brand, and bringing in the money. All right. If that's you, you're good. This is for you. And if you're afraid of investing in yourself and you're looking for a course, this is not for you. So if this is good so far, if this is good for you, you're a multifamily real estate investor who's looking to take down big commercial deals that are 30 units or more. You need to consistently raise more than $1 million and you want a proven and predictable system, then my goal for this presentation is 2 things. But before I tell you about them, I want to make sure that we're on the same page, right? With this truth. The only way for you to raise millions of dollars in capital is to have a massive investor network, right? So if you believe in the power of networking and you know that for you to raise millions of dollars in capital, you must have a massive investor network, then we're on the same page and this presentation is for you. But if on the other hand, you are a multifamily real estate investor who doesn't believe in the power of networking, you believe networking sucks, networking doesn't work, right? This is not for you, right? Because the only way for you to raise millions of dollars in capital is to build a massive investor network, right? So my goal, if we're on the same page with this, my goal for this presentation in the next 5 to 10 minutes is number 1, to show you the best way to build a massive investor network and raise millions of dollars in capital. It is not going to networking events or meetups, hosting endless lunches and dinners and coffees for investors. It is not going to your friends and family and begging people for money, running around like a chicken with its head cut off. And it's none of that. The best way to build a massive investor network and raise millions of dollars in capital is the new way of networking. Everything has changed, right? Cars drive themselves. Like AI can write a book, about your life in 5 seconds. Rockets go up to space, come back, and land safely. Everything has changed, and the way we network has also changed. And the new way of networking, or as I call it, digital networking, is the key to building a massive investor network and raising millions of dollars in capital. So my goal is to show you that. And the second thing that I want to show you in the next 5 to 10 minutes is I want to reveal to you the best digital networking tool that you can use to build a massive investor network, position your expert brand, increase credibility, authority, investor exposure, and raise millions of dollars in capital. If that sounds good, then this video should be about 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 10 minutes on the higher end. So if you're not one of those people who have problems with your attention span because of TikTok, you're like brain damage, right? Then you should be good, right? You should be able to pay attention for the next 10 minutes. And if you do, this is going to be some of the best 10-minute investment that you'll ever make in your life. So let's start off with the Millionaire Network Automation formula. It's composed of 3 things. And the first thing is identifying who your ideal investor is. The way we define that is thinking about who is your perfect ideal investor avatar, who will resonate with you, your deals, and will invest the fastest and the easiest with you. All right. There's some investors that resonate with you, but don't resonate with your deals. There's some investors that resonate with your deals, but don't resonate with you. We got to be clear on who your ideal investors are that resonates with both you, your deals, and will invest the easiest and fastest. And some of the things that you have to take into consideration when you're thinking about who your ideal investors are is the investment standard. What's the minimum amount of money that you allow investors to invest with you? Is it going to be 10,000, 100,000, a million, 2 million, right? Once you decide this, then you can now decide whether you're going to go after non-accredited, accredited, high net worth individuals, institutional, or whatever, a specific industry, so that you can build strong foundations, right? So that's the first step. If you don't do this, if you don't identify who your ideal investors are, you risk running around like a chicken with its head cut off, like average capital raisers and real estate investors who are looking to raise capital from anyone and everyone, but end up raising capital from no one. So that's the first foundation. The second thing you need is an automated networking system to find, connect, and convert your ideal investors on a weekly basis, consistently and predictably, without any of your effort and time. So you either need a team member, a group of people, or a system that can find and connect you to your investors on a weekly basis, predictively on a weekly basis, and convert them. So that's the second thing. And the third thing you need is a branding process. You're going to be asking people for money, so you need to be able to position yourself and your brand as experts and have credibility and authority. If you have those three things, those three components, you'll be able to raise as much capital as you want for as long as you want. If, however, you're missing any one of these components, you'll struggle and you'll have a very hard time, and you're not going to know why. But right now, I'm pointing it out to you. These are the three components you need if you want to be able to raise as much capital as you want for as long as you want. And this is the capital raising roadmap that we follow, right? But I was talking about earlier how I was going to show you how digital networking is the best way to build a massive investor network and raise millions of dollars in capital, and how I was going to reveal to you the best digital networking tool, right? So the best digital networking tool or vehicle that we use to build a massive investor network, build an expert brand, increase credibility, authority, investor exposure, and raise millions of dollars in capital is a podcast. You're not going to become a podcaster, right? You're simply going to use a podcast as a digital networking and capital raising tool, right? So we're not podcasters. We are capital raisers and real estate investors that use podcasts as a digital networking and capital raising tool to build a massive investor network, position our expert brand, increase credibility, authority, and investor exposure, and raise millions of dollars in capital. I hope that makes sense. If that makes sense, then the first step in our roadmap would be identifying who your ideal investors are. And again, we don't sell courses. We have a done-for-you service where we set up our proven and predictable system for you, right? So we identify who your ideal investors are, right? Then we put in the hard work to find them for you and get them connected to you. So we reach out to them, message them, do everything we need to do to get them to connect with you on your podcast, book with you on your calendar on a consistent basis every single week, predictably, right? So over the next 6 months, if you are able to invest 2 to 4 hours of work per week into this, then over the next 6 months, we can help you build a massive investor network of 50 to 100 of your ideal investors. If you cannot invest 2 to 4 hours per week into this, if you're too busy that you cannot do that, then this is not for you. But if you can, over the next 6 months, you would end up with a massive investor network of 50 to 100 of your ideal investors, right? And since you're using a podcast to connect with them, you would also end up with 50 to 100 podcast episodes that we would optimize, multiply, and distribute for you. So optimize means we would make everything look good, right? Your branding, your logo, your intro, your outro. We would create your expert brand. We would multiply every single podcast episode into a bunch of clips, reels, posts, stories, emails, thumbnails, and then we would distribute all of that for you. So every podcast episode that you do would be on all major podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, right? Every clip, reel, post, story, all of the thousands of pieces of content that we're going to produce for you would be posted on all of your social media platforms. We build a new automation for you. And that's how we build your expert brand, increase credibility, authority, investor exposure, and get you to the finish line of raising millions of dollars in capital. So if you get this, my next question to you is, do you want to get this implemented 100% done for you? Because we find your ideal investors for you. We reach out to them, call them, text them to get them to connect with you. We help you build a massive investor network. We do all of the branding stuff, right? Positioning you as an expert, increase credibility, authority, and investor exposure, right? We optimize, multiply, and distribute for you. So would you like to get this implemented 100% for you, done for you? If you would like that, the next steps would be scheduling a capital raising strategy session to go a lot more in depth into how everything would be implemented step by step, right? But before you're able to schedule a call, you would have to apply, which means answering, all questions. We have about 7 questions that you would have to answer. And we have a couple of important notes that you have to take into consideration. First of all, we get a high volume of real estate investors who want to book and want to learn more about our system. So if you want to be considered, make sure that you answer all questions as best as you can. That lets us know that you're serious, right? That you're committed, that you're not just playing around. And you need to show up to the call on Microsoft Teams, right? Once you're able to book on your call. The call is going to be on Microsoft Teams, and you need to make sure that you show up on time on your computer in the proper environment. If you don't answer your questions correctly, if you don't show up on time, if you don't show up on your computer, if you don't show up on the proper environment, so if you show up on the bathroom or in your car, right, we're going to cancel the call, right? And because we just get a lot of people who want to book with us, so we want to make sure that we talk to and connect with individuals that are serious about getting a proven and predictable system implemented, completely done for them. So keep these notes in mind. Make sure that if you want to go to the next step, make sure that you apply and answer all the questions as best as you can. And then when you book, show up on time on your computer in the proper environment. All right. I hope you got some value out of this, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.